Today I really want to provide a framework of basically the 10 steps that you need to know from when you first start looking to actually settle and take over that property as a property investor. When first looking at buying an investment property, it can be a daunting process and a daunting task. Today I really want to provide a framework of basically the 10 steps that you need to know from when you first start looking to actually settle and take over that property as a property investor. So let's get into it. The first step is understanding why you actually want to buy. Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for something with capital growth? Are you looking at flipping a property? So really get clear on why exactly you want to buy. So often I speak to investors and they really haven't tackled that question. And that question really does lead the rest of the process. So get clear on why you're actually wanting to buy. Is it for cash flow? Is it for capital gains into the future? Why are you actually considering buying an investment property in the first place? The second question you need to be asking yourself is, what is my budget? What am I actually looking to spend? Having a clear idea of what you can actually afford to buy, what you can afford to maintain, will really structure the process and give you a clear plan moving forward from that point in time. So once you have your budget, once you've got that sort of figure in mind, I do recommend going and speaking to your bank or a mortgage broker. My preference here is going and speaking to a mortgage broker because they will give you a range of options that sometimes your individual bank just can't provide. A good recent example of this is we bought a duplex this year and we were banking with the ANZ at the time, and their policy on a duplex was that they require a 30% deposit and don't actually offer LMI if you have a lesser deposit. So you had to have the full 30% deposit. So fortunately we were able to go to a broker and we had other options there where we were able to buy with a much lesser deposit. So depending on your situation, work out your budget, speak to a financier, be it your bank or a mortgage broker, and work out exactly what you can afford to buy, as this will really dictate down the track as to the following steps. Step 3, once you have your budget, is to research an area that you want to be buying in. Now, depending on what your original goal was in step 1, will really impact the area that you're wanting to buy in. Historically, the capital cities have seen really good capital growth. If this will continue or not into the future will remain to be seen. But so capital growth, a lot of people do think that the major cities, I think this may change into the future. But for the last 5 years, if you were chasing capital growth and had a time machine, you would probably go back and buy in one of the major capital cities. Where if you're looking for something that was cash flow positive or offered a good cash flow return, the cities really aren't the best options. A lot of regional centres still have rather large populations do offer far better cash flow, and quite possibly into the future may actually offer better capital growth opportunities than some of the cities do provide. So once you've got clear on your goal, your budget, you really want to be researching the area and finding what area you actually want to buy in. Something that fits your budget. Once again, if you've got a big, large budget, a capital city might be an option for you. Where if you're working with a smaller budget, a regional centre where you can pick up a property for 250, 300,000 might be more suitable for you. So that's number 3, researching your area. Once you've picked the area that you want, you have that clear target and a clear budget that you are working towards. The next step is to start researching properties on the market for sale. Now, at the moment, realestate.com.au is the industry leader when it comes to searching for properties. However, a lot of good deals are bought off market, so get to know the local agents in the area, find out what properties they do have coming on the market. Quite often the best properties sell well before they hit the actual market and are sold on what's called off market, so they're never actively advertised. The agent or the homeowner finds a buyer before they actually open it up to the full market. And often really good deals are secured through these channels. So get to know the local agents, start talking with them, let them know that you do have a clear goal and a clear understanding of your finance position. The more you can explain to them your position and what you're exactly looking for, the more they'll be able to help you. If you just go to them and go, I'm looking for an investment property, but don't actually provide any details of budget or what the actual criteria is, they won't actually be able to help you, or they'll just feel that you're just still kicking tires possibly, where if you come to them with a clear action plan, I'm wanting to buy a property between 250 and 300,000, I'm looking for at least a 6% return, they'll be able to then use that criteria and really assist you and quite possibly find you a deal off market that's better than anything you can find on market. Once you've actually narrowed it down to a bit of a short list of properties that you want to inspect, I recommend actually doing the numbers before you inspect the property. Really, a property inspection is just to make sure that the layout's functional and the property's in the condition that you thought it was in. You can really cross off a lot of properties off your list by doing the numbers before you actually go see them. If something has terrible returns and you're buying for cash flow, there's really no point wasting your own time going and seeing that property. Crunch the numbers before you start inspecting and do that in your research phase. Once you've finished that research phase and you've got 4, maybe 5 properties that stack up for the numbers that you're looking for, so if you are looking for cash flow, that they offer the cash flow opportunity that you're looking for, then contact the agent. And that's step number 4, is to actually contact the agent and start making those inspections. When you're at the property, remember, you're not buying for emotion, so to speak. If you're purely buying as an investment property, take emotions out of the picture. You're looking for things like, does the layout of the property work? Is it a functional layout? Is there any major maintenance expenses that are coming up? And then coming back to the area and why you chose that area. So really look at those sort of things. The cosmetics of the property is something that can quite easily be changed. For instance, a standard kitchen renovation is looking around that 10,000 mark. If you can find a property that's quite appealing but has a really crappy kitchen, but you can get it 30 grand better price than the property down the road, it might be an appealing option to buy that property with the rundown kitchen and upgrade it. So really look at the details. Don't really focus on the cosmetics of a property. Look at the structural integrity, look at the location, look at any major maintenance issues, and buy on those factors, not so much the cosmetics when you are looking at buying an investment property. Once you've actually found the property that you think is the one for you, step number 6 we're up to. Step number 6 after you've inspected the property is to go back and do your research again. Look at what comparable properties have recently sold for and what comparable properties have recently rented for. You really want to be making sure that the quoted rental amount is accurate and true to the area. Rental markets can fluctuate quite quickly, and you can pick up really good bargains when the rent's been misquoted. So a property might be quoted for rent for $300 per week, but with a couple of minor changes you could actually achieve $350 or $360 for that property. You may be getting a far better deal than what you originally anticipated. The same is said with sale prices. Just because the listing price is, let's say, $300,000, doesn't mean that if you buy that property at $250,000 that you're actually getting a good deal. Use the listing price as a guide, but really look around at comparable sales to work out if you're actually getting a good buy or not. Don't fall into the trap of just thinking because the listing price is X, if you get it under X, that it is a great buy. This also works in the opposite as well. Say the listing price for a property is $250,000, but recent properties sales are around that $300 mark. You may actually be wanting to offer over the asking price to secure the sale, because you know that you're still making money off that property. So once you've inspected the property and then gone back and done further research into the area, comparable sales and comparable rentals, the next step is to structure an offer to present to the vendor or real estate agent. Now, when structuring an offer, it's important not to think just in dollar prices. Possibly the vendor is living in the property and a longer settlement might be more attractive to them, or maybe the property's sitting vacant, and if you can do a short settlement, your offer will be more enticing. So have a chat to the agent. If the seller's selling it direct, have a chat to the seller, work out what they're actually chasing, what their situation is, and you may be able to negotiate beyond just dollar terms and in the end get a far better deal. Once that offer is structured, the next step is to go to a contract. Once again, the contract, it's best to have looked over by a solicitor and think about what conditions you need to put into that contract. Are you borrowing money and reliant on the bank actually lending you the money? You might want to make it subject to finance. Is the building possibly going to have issues? Then you may want to look at making it subject to a building and pest inspection. Typically, the fewer conditions you put in an offer, the more appealing the dollar value. So it might be a case that you can get the building inspection done prior to putting forward the offer, and this will strengthen your offer because the owners know that you're not going to come back and try and renegotiate the price. So really think about that in terms of your offer and of the contract when you are putting that together. Number 9 is when the property actually settles. So it's gone to contract, you've had finance approved, you've had the building and pest come through, and the property settles. Now, unfortunately, settlement day is probably the most underwhelming day of property ownership. If it's buying for an investment property, the chances are you may not even get handed the keys at settlement. So don't be disappointed by that. Essentially, you'll just see if you have borrowed money, a nice big loan appear in your bank account, and that's really it for settlement day. Where it starts to get exciting is after settlement, when you start seeing the rental checks come in, or you can watch the market lifting if you are looking for capital growth and you have bought in a successful area, watching the market lift, and that obviously will raise your equity position. The final step, and step number 10 of buying an investment property, is to secure a property manager that can look after the property. Now, it is possible to self-manage your property, and lots of people do it, but it's amazing how often I go to a property that's self-managed and it just has not been maintained, and their property's worth 50 to 100,000 less than surrounding properties just purely because it hasn't been well maintained, hasn't been well managed, and often these tenants are far behind in rent, which simply wouldn't happen if you have a good property manager. So shop around, ask really good questions of your property manager to work out if they do have the experience necessary to make sure that your property investment journey is something that is seamless. So there you have it, guys. That's the 10 steps to securing a property and to all the way through to having it managed and that income coming in. So to just sum up, the first step is essentially, why are you buying? What is the reason that you want to buy an investment property? The second step is your budget. Speak to a finance broker, speak to your bank, work out your budget, work out what you can afford. If the property is going to be negatively geared, so cost you money each week, can you afford to sustain that? Or if it's positively geared, working out how much money it would actually make you. The third step is to research the area. You want to be confident that the area you're buying is going to match your goal. So looking at the local economy, looking at population growth, looking at the average income for that area will really start to give you a bit of a guide to if that area you're researching does fit your original goal. Number 4 is to research properties actually on the market for sale and do the numbers on these. Have a drive past these properties before you actually book in an inspection. Knowing the numbers can really rule out 80% of the properties and save you a lot of time, especially if you're just flying into an area for a short trip and only have a limited amount of time to get through the properties that you're actually interested in. So do the numbers before making an inspection, and even have a drive past the property to get familiar with the area prior to booking an inspection. Number 5 is actually booking an inspection, going through the property, making sure that it is what you thought it was going to be. Number 6, go back to researching. Research comparable sales, research the comparable rentals in the area. That will really give you a clear guide as to what you should offer to make sure you're getting good value out of your investment property. Number 7 is to compile your offer. Work out what the actual vendor situation is to work out what the best offer is for them. Number 8 is to do up the contract of sale. Like I said, good idea to have a solicitor look over that. Work out what terms you need to be put in there. It really does fall in part of putting forward the offer, but the contract formalizes that. Number 9, settlement. Really not much to be said here. And then number 10 is securing a property manager to look after your asset. Property manager really is a good insurance policy to make sure that your property is maintained and that you do receive the rent each week. So there you have it, guys. That's a real great structure, be it if you're buying your first investment property or your 10th investment property, to follow to make sure that you really get the most out of the journey. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe. We bring out a heap of videos on this channel and love bringing you new content. Thanks for tuning in and have a fantastic week.